Will the committee of the whole for Wadsworth City Council on Tuesday, August 5th, 2025 at 6 p.m. please come to order? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Copley.
Here.
Hines. Here. Parrish.
Here.
Renacy. Rossbert.
Here.
Stugmeyer.
Here.
Yurchek.
Here.
And Williams.
Here. You've all had a chance to review the minutes of the Committee of the Whole meeting for July 15th, 2025. May I have a motion to approve them?
So I'll make that motion. Or second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes have been approved. We now need to go into executive session, talk about collective bargaining matters. Ralph?
Mr. President, I move that we hold an executive session for the purpose of the consideration of preparing for and reviewing negotiations or bargaining sessions with city employees concerning their compensation or other terms and conditions of their employment.
Second.
Copley.
Yes.
Hines.
Yes.
Parrish.
Yes.
Rossbert.
Yes.
Stugmeyer.
Yes.
Yurchek.
Yes.
We are now in executive session. We'll let you know when you come back in.
So this is what but it's not, because we're still
We're back.
Okay, we're back from executive session. Right now, we have a presentation from Auditor Fix. Would you like to address council, please?
Thank you, Mr. President. As part of the budget process, twice a year by ordinance, we review the cash reserve policy. So the tax budget will be presented this evening, and this policy ties into that. The numbers for 2026 are included here. Basically, as I said, this is an ordinance. We calculate the minimum requirements by year as 20% of the annual operating expenses and 100% of next year's debt service. The policy basically ensures that tax rates are stable and we're able to provide the services from the general fund. It reduces risk because we're looking forward 5 years. We can make adjustments. We can cover unexpected cost increases, things like that. The one thing to keep in mind is that we are projecting years 27 through 30. This is a planning tool, and the further you get away from the current year, the more likely we are to see changes as we get closer to that year. So it's a planning document. These are estimates. And if we fall below the minimum stated in the policy, these are some of the things that we do. We would make revenue adjustments, cost reductions, delay projects, issue debt, and or look at changing this policy. So as I said, this gives us a longer-term view to make those adjustments. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on these revenue and expense assumptions. They haven't changed. They're pretty much stay set at 3%, the rate of inflation. The only one I would comment on is income tax. The income tax revenue in the 26 budget and future years is pretty conservative. Right in 2025, we have 5% growth. Currently, we're at almost 16% year to date and at more than 10% growth over the last 12 months. So assuming we hold steady there, we're going to see probably at least a few percentage points over that 5%, which could result in I'm not going to guess at the number, but a pretty substantial increase in our revenue. We'll get closer to what we think that will be in the next appropriations budget process. And then on the expense side, again, we keep these pretty well set at 3% for most areas. Personal services is the largest cost center in the general fund. And at the bottom here, the general fund collects all the interest revenue for the city, and we transfer that out. So there's some transfers out of prior year interest revenue. About 88% of that revenue does get transferred out to the other funds based on their average cash balances. And other than that, you can see, and we'll get into this a little later, that we also transfer out cash for capital. In 2025, it isn't up on that sheet, but we're going to transfer out, or will have transferred out, about $3.5 million from the general fund for capital projects. In 2026, down here, you can see it's about $1.5 million, and then those transfers drop down until 29, when there's a large transfer of about $3.7 million. As I said, that's planned currently. That could change. This page, it's a lot of numbers. Basically, I'll just hit the highlights in the proposed 2026 tax budget. Near the bottom, the minimum cash reserve is calculated at almost $8 million. We're holding on to about $2 million to close out the community center. And right now we're projecting to be at about $13 million with the current tax budget. So you can see we're about $4 million over that minimum that we need to be in this current tax budget. I'm going to skip over these two capital spreadsheets and we'll come back. I think this is probably what everybody's most interested in. The graph. So the blue line is last year's tax budget. What's going on there was at that time, a lot of cash was being used or planned to be used, and very little debt funding. I don't think those decisions had been made yet on how much debt we were going to issue. So we're going to focus on this black line, and the red line is the current appropriations budget that we're operating under. The black line, as you can see, we started at about 15.5 million, and that's an actual number. We started this year at 15.5 million in cash in the general fund, and we dropped slightly in the current year. We're estimating to just drop slightly to about 15 million. And in the proposed tax budget, we're going to drop a couple of million there to just under 13 million. So you can see there's some decrease. And we'll go back and look at those capital projects and see why that's happening. In 27, cash continues to drop, but we're still above what the policy states we need to hold into 28. And in 29, when we take that 3.7 million in cash for capital projects, it puts us below the minimum. We can delay projects, we could issue debt, but there will be changes made. This will not happen. As I said, that's just a projection at this point. So are there any questions on that? Okay. We're going to jump back to those capital spreadsheets. The first page are actually the projects and the expenses. Right here, the tax budget column is is probably the one we want to focus on. These are projections. Some of the bigger projects are the Brickyard. There's 14 million in the tax budget to be spent on that. The downtown improvement project, just over 17 million. And some of these smaller projects, Parks, Valley View, Weatherstone, and the airport. There's some money for the roundabout in there. And those projects are totaling over 33 million. Down here we have the cash coming out of the general fund to fund those, about 1.5 million. And we're issuing debt. That's the plan right now. The 19 million for general obligation debt. And you'll see on the next page that the enterprise funds, some of those utilities for the Brickyard and the downtown, it may be all downtown, they're also going to be issuing debt. So if we look at that page, this is the funding for those projects. Those transfers, all of them for all 5 years. Here's the debt issuance. And then, yeah, here's the enterprise fund debt, water, sewer, electric. So this is all the funding sources for those projects totaling almost 43 million. And this is the percentage that the general fund is paying for those projects. Most of it is general fund funding, about 70%. So I know that was a lot to take in. You can look at this. We'll see this same structure and setup during the appropriations budget process, and the numbers will be refined. And if you have questions or you don't understand this, feel free to reach out to Matt or I or Mike Testa, because we do want you to understand it. It is a lot to take in, but we are paying attention to the policy and keeping the cash healthy for the city.
Would it not make sense, though, to start working on this divide in 2026 instead of waiting for it to go in 2029?
I'm sorry,
The last page.
yeah.
Would it not make sense to start working on that next year so we don't get that dip?
In the 2029?
Yeah.
Yes,
Wouldn't it?
that will
I
be.
mean, to try and keep that
Yes,
line
and
above.
even in the appropriations budget, I'm sure they'll be doing some work on that.
We will be, and Mr. Copley and other council members, if you recall previous cash reserve policy graphs, they don't always, but they oftentimes look similar, but they move as we move through our appropriation budget, as we determine something that won't be using cash versus debt issuance. And so, as Ms. Fix indicated, if you go further out, and I would dare tell you 28 and 29 are very rough estimates at this point, and we know that we wouldn't make recommendations to be spending in that fashion, and we know that you wouldn't approve spending in that fashion. So those things will adjust over time, and you're absolutely right. We will take steps as early as this budget process to make sure that we try to improve that graph, if you will, in the line.
That's what I'm asking.
That's right.
Would it make sense?
Yep,
to Start this year.
Definitely.
Well, not this year, 26.
This is an important tool for you to see, and for us to see, and us to use to guide into making decisions on not getting into this situation.
Because when you're talking issuing that kind of debt, I mean, that's a thin margin left there. I mean, you get one bad year, you could be in deep trouble.
If you get close to the minimum.
If you get
That's what I mean,
Yes.
if you get close to that,
Yes.
that line.
Yep.
And that's why I said we should be working on moving that line up. Just my thought.
Okay. Questions, discussion? Okay. Who did we give that to? David?
Yes.
All right, on item number 1, the resolution, all the discussion's over. Mr. Parrish, would you like to take that, please?
Say yes?
Hello?
Yes, I said yeah.
You'll
Oh,
take that?
I'm sorry.
Okay.
That'll be resolution number 25-04.
And what would you like to do with that? Ms. Fix?
What's the need, yes?
Ms. Fix.
Auditor Fix,
sorry.
what's the timeline on this?
What's that?
What's the timeline on this? How soon do you need this?
On the actual tax budget submission to the county.
It has to be adopted by the 15th.
Yes.
And it has to be submitted by the 20th.
So
So unless you have a special meeting.
Right.
we're going to
needs to
miss
be
the,
We'll call.
adopted.
okay, suspend and call. All right, on item number 2,
I can speak to that, and I can, in the interest of time, I'll be brief on this. We did speak about this particular matter at public service, and if the members of that committee and those who attended recall, this is a request through City Engineer Davis for an adjustment in positions within his department, and I hope you join me in saying that Mr. Davis has been a breath of fresh air in managing and running the engineering division, and throughout the process, we have stayed engaged with each other to talk about opportunities. And here he is suggesting that there is an opportunity to remove an engineering position and substitute it with a position that is more accurately reflective of the work that's being done within the department. And ideally done by an individual who does not need an advanced degree like an engineering degree. And so he is proposing this position, and to fill this position, he thinks it's a more equitable use of budgetary dollars. I agree with him in terms of the analysis. After poking and prodding some areas of his proposal, I'm satisfied with this recommendation to you. We have developed a position description if you are so inclined in approving it. It would fall within a clerical 9 range in terms of divisions of cost. That is a significant savings in terms of an engineering position within the department. In the interest of time, I would tell you I am supportive of this effort.
okay. And I think council should be supportive. We've seen the great work that Mr. Davis has done, and is urgency on this?
Of course, we'd love to do that, but if you would like to read it, that
Let's
would
read
be
it,
fine
yeah.
too. So-
I'm going to let Councilmember Parrish, you do this one, and let's move it to second. Excuse me, Hines. I meant Councilmember Hines. Okay. Ordinance number?
That will be ordinance number 25-116.
Okay, then we have the other ordinance tonight. Councilmember Copley, will you take that, please?
Yes.
On the executive?
Yep.
We'll discuss it. Okay.
And that'll be number 25-117.
Okay. And what would you like to do?
We'll move it to second, just like I
Okay.
said.
Okay. All right. Any other business? We have the council agenda review. Ordinance 25-102, Mr. Councilmember Stugmeyer.
We were going to go 2 readings on that. We're on the second reading, so I'll suspend and call that tonight.
And 25-103.
Same thing on that one, suspend and call.
Anybody on council, if you have any questions, just speak up. Okay. Or if you want to discuss something. Ordinance number 25-104, again, Councilmember
Cable
Stugmeyer.
rates, we'll go to a 3rd reading on that.
Third. Has anybody had any calls, or I've had a couple of people ask me about our cable rates.
I've had one ask.
One?
Oh.
Anybody else?
I had a lady today approach me at a restaurant.
Okay. Yeah, I think there might be some concern out there, so.
There is.
By the time we have our other meeting, yeah, let's get some feedback to administration. Okay. 25-106, Councilmember Rosbert.
I'd like to call that and get the...
You can't, it's on second reading.
Yeah.
You want to suspend and call?
Suspend and call,
Okay.
yeah.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you up here.
I'll
Amazing.
speak louder.
Ordinance number 25109, Councilmember Rosberg.
All these down 109 through 112 go together.
All right, well, let's do them one-on-one,
Okay.
one by one. 25110 then, suspended call, is that what you're saying?
I would, unless anybody has discussions about a roundabout project, I would like to suspend the call, so if we're going to do this project, we get it moving.
I just had one question. Is that the total amount?
No, that's just the
No,
engineering.
that's just design, and the
Design.
design will probably stretch over the end of the year, so it'll be a period of
I
time.
know we're getting money from the state.
No.
No, that cannot go for design costs, the money from the state, that can go towards
That's
construction.
just the design cost. Overall, what do you think it will cost the city?
I've been talking with Mr. Davis about that, and his estimate is about 3.2 million in terms of overall cost.
How much is the
Is that
city? She was asking.
including the grant?
2 million is coming from NOACA, right?
That's right.
So the city's input would be
1.2.
1.2 million.
So 1.2 from the city.
Yes.
On top of this.
On top of the
On top
design.
of engineering.
1.5 for us, for the project.
And I'm still not convinced that it's needed. We don't have a warrant, we don't have, any studies saying that it's needed, that it's going to fix the issues up there. This is a shot in the dark, in my opinion.
So one of the aspects that we've talked to folks about is making sure that if you approve this, the first steps in the design process is to meet the warrant requirements and do that, and they would do that. I think it is, I'm not stretching it too far to tell you that NOACA would probably want us to do that, but they believe strongly in the solution of the roundabout, and that's why they're proposing that award of dollars. But it certainly can be a phase one of step one of the design process if you choose to move forward with it. And I would tell you that while I understand the requirements of the OMUTCD, I think you would be surprised about how many near misses we have at that particular intersection and how many regular complaints we receive from travelers, both residents and non-residents of our community, about that intersection. I think this is a deserving transportation project for your consideration, and I think we've already taken steps to try to address that intersection by acquiring that property in that particular area. So I hope that we put some real thought into a decision on what to do here.
Am I hearing you say then that you would be willing to do a phase one, the warrant process, prior to going to design,
Yes,
if this is approved?
Yes,
And
if-
you bring that back to council before going to design?
yes, I think what we would have to do, Mr. Copley, and I'm just thinking off the top of my head here, is if you were to allow us to move forward with a design professional, the first scope in that design professional agreement would be you must show us the OMUTCD warrant analysis to substantiate the need for a roundabout in this particular location. And then any design services post that would have to be upon our approval, which means essentially do this first, provide us the recommendation and your findings, then we will make a decision on authorizing you to move forward with further design services. I am more than willing and think that is the right approach if you have concerns about its need analysis.
The warrant would be like a traffic study, right?
Yes, I'm using warrant in the terms of a traffic study analysis.
Okay.
And I do think that if we had, because I drive that intersection a lot, that would help slow down traffic coming into the northern corridor where we have all the businesses there. I think it would help control some of that speed coming down to the bridge, because it does get pretty hot and heavy through there, even though we have multiple traffic lights.
I would also add that that particular traffic signal is already operating at a deficient service level. It is below the level of service that is ideal for that intersection. I believe there's a couple of factors for that. Since that signal's been installed and that unique geometry of the intersection to go with, but you've also had the introduction of Tiburon Trace and Blooming Acres in that particular area, which added volume to traffic in that area. In addition, we have consideration of other projects along East Reimer Road that might be coming down the pike. I think it's something to get ahead of for us to look at.
Was there any dollars asked of Tiburon Trace or those developments for impact fees that could help pay for this?
I don't know that, Mr. Copley, as I wasn't in this role at that time, but I will certainly research that and get you an answer.
I mean, because we do charge impact fees and stuff.
We-
And if
we
there was
do
any
now,
Impact fees, set aside, why can't that be applied to this?
And we do that now, remember, impact fees has been a relatively new development here for us, and so I don't know that they were in place and charged at the time of those developments.
So we dropped the ball in.
Well, I don't think we even had impact fees in place at that
Yeah,
time.
okay. Thank you.
Any other
So-
questions?
I intend to suspend and call on all 4 of those.
So that puts 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's
Up to-
25-111 and then 25-112. You're going to suspend and call those?
109 through 112, yes, sir.
Okay.
They all work in conjunction.
Let's move to ordinance 25-113. Councilmember Yurcheck.
Move that to third.
Public meeting on that tonight. Ordinance 25-115.
That one's for August 19th.
I'm sorry?
Public hearings
Is
August
that the
19th.
18th?
That's the 19th.
Or the 19th? Yeah, sorry about that. Next one, 25-115.
Third.
Third. 25-094.
I'll move that to fourth.
That's the one, okay. And then 25-096.
I'll call that tonight.
Any other business? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We are adjourned. Will the regular meeting of Wadsworth City Council for Tuesday, August 5th, 2025, please come to order? Will you please rise and pledge allegiance to the flag and remain standing for the invocation?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Almighty God, who has given us this good land to be our heritage, we acknowledge our dependence upon you for all things, and we thank you for all your blessings, including the right and privilege to govern ourselves in this free land. We pray that you would grant us all wisdom to make good decisions for the future of this community. Through Christ our Lord we pray. Amen. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Copley.
Here.
Hines.
Here.
Parrish.
Here.
Renacci. Rossbert.
Here.
Stugmeyer.
Here.
Yurcheck.
Here.
And Williams.
Here. You've all had the opportunity to review the minutes for the regular city council meeting on July 15th, 2025. May I have a motion to approve them?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The minutes for the regular city council meeting of July 15th, 2025 are approved. Tonight, I'm asking council to amend the rules. We have a motion to amend the rules of council. On rule number 3, paragraph 2, we need an exemption for the finance committee of the whole and all standing committees to have 3 or 4 members, including the chairperson. May I have a motion to,
So moved.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
And we're also omitting.
No. No, we're going to omit Public Service Committee that already has 3 or 4 members.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
And we also have a motion to amend the committee and commission assignments for additions. We have a motion to accept them.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Tonight we have a public hearing on ordinance number 25-094 concerning public rental storage facilities. Will the clerk please read the ordinance title?
It's ordinance number 25-094. An ordinance to amend sections 154.545 and 154.546 of the codified ordinances of the City of Wadsworth pertaining to public rental storage facilities and declaring an emergency.
I'd like to invite Planning Director, Mr. Kaiser, to speak about it, please.
Okay, this ordinance modifies the conditional zoning requirements that apply to public rental storage uses. First change is rather simple. That's a change to 154.544, paragraph 35. We've changed the terms public rental storage buildings to public rental storage facilities. Really just a housekeeping item. The real changes are summarized. I think you may have a memo. Those impact section 154.546, paragraph B32. And it reformats that paragraph into 5 subsections or paragraphs, really to help specify the conditions and put them in a logical order. The 5 subsections are general requirements that would apply to all conditional storage uses. Second paragraph lists prohibited uses and activities. Paragraph C adds additional site design requirements. They're generally related to lighting and buffering of these uses, particularly when they abut residential uses. Paragraph D is a new provision. It talks about outdoor storage of non-commercial operable vehicles, campers, boats, and the like. So it would allow those things to be stored on the site if they're out of sight and screened from public view. And then paragraph E is also a new provision, and that really deals with converting existing structures that are found in a commercial or industrial zone that are abandoned to allow those to become public storage facilities as well. And there's a list of certain additional requirements that would apply to those types of conversions. So really this was a result of the moratorium that was enacted to give us a chance to look into these, how other communities handled it. They were all over the board, leaning from one community outside of Dayton that prohibits these uses, others that have really no controls whatsoever. They just treat it as a permitted use. So I think what we have here is very similar to what we've been operating under the last couple decades. I think it just kind of clarifies it and adds some provisions for changes, especially those related to motor vehicles and boats. It gives more opportunities for places to store them outside of residential driveways.
Okay. Questions or comments from council?
Under D, outdoor storage, it talks about screening. Define what your thoughts are screening.
Screening means it's got to be either behind a building, or if there's cases where there is...
It says no building, it must be screened from public view.
Must be screened?
How do you get to...
With a fence.
That?
With fence,
How
landscaping,
high?
probably 6 feet, 6 to 10 feet.
Minimum?
Yeah, 6 feet minimum. The planning commission can approve fences up to 10 feet in height. And there are various ways to screen that. I'm thinking even out on Broad Boulevard. I know it's falling into disrepair. Axelrod dealership. They have that kind of wood fencing where they had their display vehicles in front and some repair vehicles in the back, something like that. And it can be fencing, stone, trees, landscape buffer. But yeah, that was just so that you can't really, they're not visible from the public right away.
Any other questions, comments? Okay, thank you. I'd now like to open the council hearing for public comment. Any speakers, please come to the podium one at a time. State your name and address for the record, and we ask that you keep your comments brief, about 3 minutes. Seeing none, the public hearing for ordinance number 25-094 is closed. Per the rules of council, number 17, council does not typically vote on the legislation on the night of a public hearing. Council at times does suspend Rule 17. Are there any visitors in the audience that would like to address council? Please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and keep your comments brief, 2 to 3 minutes.
Catherine Miracle, 1144 Partridge Drive. As the organizer and the representative for a group of concerned citizens going through our process, I need to thank each of you for your service and your leadership. I've had the opportunity to learn so much. And without Jeff Kaiser, I thank him because I've probably called so many times and he's always been available. And of course, Ralph Copley, who's been a constant source of support. I represent a group of concerned citizens that live east of a 13-acre field, which is between Reimer Road and Great Oaks. This 13 acres is north of the Sterling Oaks Villas. That property is partially over mines. The concerned citizens have expressed their concern because what happened at Sawa Lane, and request from the city to request any developer of that property to do a formal geological mine subsidence study as an independent qualified geotechnical engineering firm. Full transparency of the study of the results made publicly available to the residents and stakeholders, a pause on development permits and approvals until the study is completed, reviewed, and considered by both city officials and affected residents. Please note, our petition, signed by 61 concerned citizens, is not meant to hinder progress. It is to be an advocate for safe, informed, and sustainable development that protects residents, infrastructure, and property values. We appreciate all of you for your thoughtful consideration and urge decisive action to ensure Wadsworth's long-term safety and stability. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Is there anybody else in the audience who would like to address council? Seeing none, let's move on to correspondence. Is there any correspondence?
Yes, Mr. President, I had one item, which is an annual notice received from the Division of Liquor Control. The notice advises that all permits to sell alcohol beverages in the City of Wadsworth will expire on October 1st, 2025. That means that all permit holders must file renewal applications for liquor licenses. Secondly, the notice provides information about how council, as a legislative authority, may object to liquor licenses. I placed a copy of the notice inside your folders this evening.
Okay.
And since I normally ask this question of Mr. Hiscock, now I get to move to Mr. Chapin. Are there any liquor establishments that we're having outstanding issues with or problems that you've been made aware of through our police department?
Not that directly are related to the sale of alcohol. No.
Good answer.
Thanks.
Any other comments? Okay, well, let's move on to committees and commissions. Public hearing will be held on a zoning tax change on the, let's see,
Zoning district?
or zoning, yeah, excuse me, zoning district on August 19th, 2025, 6:30 in council chambers. Public Service Committee, Councilmember Stugmeyer.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Public Service Committee will next meet next Tuesday, August the 12th, 5:30 p.m. here in council chambers.
Public Safety Committee, Councilmember Copley.
Thank you, Mr. President. Next meeting of Public Safety was scheduled for next Wednesday, August the 13th, but two of our members are going to be out of town that day, and I'm waiting to hear back from the safety director if we even need to have a meeting, so that meeting will either be moved or canceled, depending on what is on the agenda.
Thank you for that. Public Waste Committee, Councilmember Rosberg.
Thank you, Mr. President. Public Waste is scheduled to meet Monday, August 11th at 6 o'clock here in council chambers, and I've asked President Williams to chair that meeting for me.
Okay, very good. Economic Development Planning Committee, Councilmember Yurcheck.
Thank you, Mr. President. Economic Development and Planning will next meet on August 11th at 5 p.m. in council chambers.
Okay. Committee of the Whole met tonight at 6 p.m. where we had legislative discussions. Airport Commission, Councilmember Stugmeyer.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Airport Commission will next meet on Wednesday, October the 15th, 4 p.m. here in council chambers.
Stormwater Commission, Councilmember Copley.
Thank you, Mr. President. The next meeting of Stormwater Commission will be on October the 14th at 5 o'clock p.m. here in council chambers, which is just before the Public Service Committee meeting that month.
Shade Tree Commission, Councilmember Hines.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Shade Tree Commission will meet Tuesday, August 26th at 5 p.m. here in council chambers.
Planning Commission will meet Monday, August 11th at 7 p.m. in council chamber. Cemetery Board, Councilmember Yurcheck.
Cemetery Board will next meet on Wednesday, August 20th at 5 p.m. in council chambers.
Cable TV Commission, Councilmember Copley.
Thank you, Mr. President. The next meeting at Cable TV will be Thursday, October the 2nd at 4 o'clock p.m. here in council chambers.
Very good. Senior Citizens Commission, Councilmember Parrish.
Senior Citizens Commission will meet on Monday, October 6th at 3:30 at the Suprema Senior Center.
Okay. That brings us to the legislation. Will the clerk please read tonight's legislation?
All right, we'll start with first readings this evening. We have resolution number 25-04 on first reading, sponsored by Councilmember David Parrish and discussed at Committee of the Whole. A resolution adopting a tax budget for the City of Wadsworth for the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2026, submitting said tax budget to the Auditor of Medina County, Ohio, and declaring an emergency.
Mr. President, I move to suspend the three-reading rule on resolution number 25-04.
Second.
Stugmeyer?
Yes.
Copley?
Yes.
Hines?
Yes.
Rossbert?
Yes.
Parrish?
Yes.
Yurcheck?
Yes.
Mr. President, I call to question on resolution number 25-04.
Hearing no objection to Councilmember Parrish's proposal, call to question. Will the clerk please take a roll call vote on the adoption of resolution number 25-04?
Hines?
Yes.
Parrish?
Yes.
Yurcheck?
Yes.
Stugmeyer?
Yes.
Rossbert?
Yes.
And Copley?
Yes.
Okay. It passed.
Resolution number 25-04 has been adopted.
Ordinance number 25-116 on first reading, sponsored by Councilmember Jeannie Hines and discussed at Committee of the Whole. An ordinance to amend Section 35.32 of the codified ordinances of the City of Wadsworth to add the classification of engineering project administrator in the engineering division and declaring an emergency.
Mr. President, I'd like to move ordinance number 25-116 to second reading.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Ordinance number 25-116 has been moved to second reading.
Ordinance number 25-117 on first reading, sponsored by Councilmember Ralph Copley and discussed at Committee of the Whole. An ordinance authorizing the mayor and the director of public safety to execute a collective bargaining agreement in regard to identified employees in the Wadsworth Police Department with the Ohio Patrolmen's Benevolent Association, OPBA, under the terms that have been negotiated and recommended by the director of public safety, including the fact-finding panel's recommendations pursuant to Section 4117.14 of the revised code and declaring an emergency.
Mr. President, I'd like to move ordinance number 117 to second reading.
Do you have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Abstain.
Opposed?
Do we have an opposed? Pardon me?
Yeah, Tom.
One opposed?
One opposed and one abstain?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4. 4 on an emergency.
Couldn't suspend it anyway.
I'm sorry?
Couldn't suspend it anyway.
Ordinance number 25-116 has been moved, or 25-117 has been moved to second reading.
Ordinance number 25-102 on second reading, sponsored by Councilmember Tom Stugmeyer, discussed at public service. An ordinance authorizing and directing the Director of Public Service to advertise for, receive bids, and enter into a contract for the lead service verification project and declaring an emergency.
Mr. President, I make a motion to suspend the three-reading rule on ordinance number 25-102.
Second.
Copley?
Yes.
Rossbert?
Yes.
Parrish?
Yes.
Yurcheck?
Yes.
Stugmeyer?
Yes.
And Hines?
Yes.
Mr. President, I call the question on ordinance number 25-102.
Hearing no objection to Councilmember Stugmeyer's proposal, call to question. Will the clerk please take a roll call vote on the adoption of ordinance number 25-102?
Rossbert?
Yes.
Parrish?
Yes.
Yurcheck?
Yes.
Copley?
Yes.
Hines?
Yes.
And Stugmeyer?
Yes.
Ordinance number 25-102 has been adopted.
Ordinance number 25-103 on second reading, sponsored by Councilmember Tom Stegmeyer and discussed at public service. An ordinance authorizing and directing the Director of Public Service to advertise for, receive bids, and enter into a contract for the tree storm replacement project and declaring an emergency.
Mr. President, I make a motion to suspend the three reading rule on ordinance number 25-103.
Second?
Parrish?
Yes.
Yuracek?
Yes.
Copley?
Yes.
Hines?
Yes.
Rosbert?
Yes.
And Stegmeyer.
Yes. Mr. President, I call the question on ordinance number 25-103.
Hearing no objection to Councilmember Stugmeyer's proposal, call to question. Will the clerk please take a roll call vote on the adoption of ordinance number 25-103?
Yuracek?
Yes.
Copley?
Yes.
Rosbert?
Yes.
Parrish?
Yes.
Stegmeyer?
Yes.
And Hines?
Yes.
Ordinance number 25-103 has been adopted.
Ordinance number 25-104 on second reading, sponsored by Councilmember Tom Stegmeyer and discussed at public service. An ordinance to amend Section 56.01 and to enact Section 56.02 of the codified ordinances of the City of Wadsworth to establish new rates for cable television and streaming services and declaring an emergency.
Mr. President, I make a motion to move ordinance number 25-104 to third reading.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Ordinance number 25-104 has been moved to third reading.
Ordinance number 25-106 on second reading, sponsored by Councilmember Dan Rosberg and discussed at Public Ways. An ordinance authorizing and directing the Director of Public Service to advertise for, receive bids for, and award contracts for the 2025 OPWC resurfacing project consisting of the construction of improvements of certain city streets and all appurtenances and declaring an emergency.
Mr. President, I move to suspend the three reading rule on ordinance number 25-106.
Second?
Copley?
Yes.
Hines?
Yes.
Parrish?
Yes.
Rosbert?
Yes.
Yuracek?
Yes.
Stugmeyer.
Yes.
Mr. President, I call the question on ordinance number 25-106.
Hearing no objection to Councilmember Rosbert's proposal, call the question. Will the clerk please take a roll call vote on the adoption of ordinance number 25-106?
Parrish?
Yes.
Yuracek?
Yes.
Stugmeyer?
Yes.
Copley?
Yes.
Hines?
Yes.
And Rosbert.
Yes.
Ordinance number 25-106 has been adopted.
Ordinance number 25-109 on second reading, sponsored by Councilmember Dan Rosbert and discussed at Public Ways. An ordinance to authorize a reduction of $350,000 in the appropriations of the 205 Street Fund for purposes other than personal services for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2025, and to declare an emergency.
Mr. President, I move to suspend the three reading rule on ordinance number 25-109.
Second?
Hines?
Yes.
Stugmeyer?
Yes.
Parrish?
Yes.
Yuracek?
Yes.
Rosbert?
Yes.
Copley?
No.
So that's 5. We need to move that to third reading.
Mr. President, I move that we place ordinance number 25-109 on third reading.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Ordinance number 25-109 has been placed on third reading.
Ordinance number 25-110 on second reading, sponsored by Councilmember Dan Rosbert and discussed at Public Ways. An ordinance to authorize transfer of $350,000 for the State Route 94 and Reimer Road intersection improvements for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2025, and to declare an emergency.
Mr. President, I move to place ordinance number 25-110 on third reading.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Ordinance number 25-110 has been placed on third reading.
Ordinance number 25-111 on second reading, sponsored by Councilmember Dan Rosbert and discussed at Public Ways. An ordinance to make a supplemental appropriation of $350,000 in the 110 General Fund for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2025, and to declare an emergency.
Mr. President, I move to place ordinance number 25-111 on third reading.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Ordinance number 25-110 has been placed on third reading. 111. Sorry. Thank you.
Ordinance number 25-112 on second reading, sponsored by Councilmember Dan Rosbert and discussed at Public Ways. An ordinance to make a supplemental appropriation of $350,000 in the 425 General Capital Improvement Fund for purposes other than personal services for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2025, and to declare an emergency.
Mr. President, I move to place ordinance number 25112 on third reading.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Ordinance number 25-112 has been placed on third reading.
Ordinance number 25-113 on second reading, sponsored by Councilmember John Yurcheck, discussed at Economic Development and Planning and forwarded by the Planning Commission. An ordinance to change the zoning district classification of 35 parcels listed on Exhibit A to this ordinance from the C-1 Commercial District to the Transitional Mixed Use TMU District and declaring an emergency. And also, there is a public hearing set for this ordinance on August 19th, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. in council chambers.
Mr. President, I move that we place ordinance number 25-113 on third reading.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Ordinance number 25-113 has been placed on third reading.
Ordinance number 25-115 on second reading, sponsored by Councilmember John Yurcheck and discussed at Economic Development and Planning. An ordinance authorizing the Director of Public Service to enter into an agreement with the Wadsworth Community Improvement Corporation to act as agent for the city pursuant to Section 1724.10B of the Ohio Revised Codes for the sale of or lease of lands owned by the City of Wadsworth, when authorized by City Council, authorizing the sale of approximately .06 acres, parcel number 040-20C-17-055, owned by the City of Wadsworth to Hazuko Holdings LLC, setting the terms of the said sale and declaring an emergency.
Mr. President, I move that we place ordinance number 25-115 on third reading.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Ordinance number 25-115 has been placed on third reading.
And ordinance number 25-094 on third reading, sponsored by Councilmember John Yurcheck, discussed at Economic Development and Planning and forwarded by the Planning Commission. An ordinance to amend sections 154.545 and 154.546 of the codified ordinances of the City of Wadsworth pertaining to public rental storage facilities and declaring an emergency.
Mr. President, I move that we place ordinance number 25-094 on fourth reading.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Ordinance number 25-094 has been placed on fourth reading.
And our last one is ordinance number 25-096 on third reading, sponsored by Councilmember Tom Stugmeyer and discussed at Public Service. An ordinance approving the participation in the EcoSmart Choice Program and providing for corresponding electric system rates and requirements and declaring an emergency.
Mr. President, I call the question on ordinance number 25-096.
Hearing no objection to Councilmember Stugmeyer's proposal to call the question, will the clerk please take a roll call vote on the adoption of ordinance number 25-096?
Rossbert?
Yes.
Yurcheck?
Yes.
Hines?
Yes.
Copley?
Yes.
Parrish?
Yes.
And Stugmeyer.
Yes.
Ordinance number 25-096 has been adopted. Is there any other business, anything for the administration? Council members, will entertain them. Oh,
Yes.
Councilmember Parrish.
I brought up an issue about our communication with our community, answering the phones, have somebody here to, meet your needs when you come into City Hall. I've had two council persons say that they've received complaints in the same way. I would like to know what the city's plans are in that way.
I will mention, as stated earlier, we have made arrangements to route the calls when one individual has gone to another assistant, and those off hours, and that assistant is there. And we're trying that out, and so far, so good.
Any other comments or discussion? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We are adjourned.
You are watching WCTV, Wadsworth Community Television.